Welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at CCZ's Melody. So for those of you who remember, CCZ is kind of a brand new company. They had a flagship called the Plume. It is no longer available. It's been discontinued, so you can't get the Plume. But right after the Plume was a really nice budget model called the Coffee Bean. I think it was called the DC-1. And just a very solid 1DD. Sounded a lot like KB Ear's KS1. Kind of had that blondish single DD, kind of a nice, safe, bassy signature, so kind of nice. So to follow that one up, they released a couple others with 1DD and 1BA, so some hybrids, and Melody, and I think Emerald is the other one. So this is Melody, and like I said, it's actually a 1DD, 1BA. It's a hybrid, kind of has a standard box. What CCZ has been pitching on most of their sets are these tips with this fancy little ring at the top. On this particular one, I do not use these tips, but that's what the CCZ tips are all about. Cable itself is kind of your standard stock black plasticky cable. As you can see, I didn't actually unwrap that one. I literally pulled that one out of the bag just to do this. But to get a good look at what Melody looks like up close, this is, for those of you who had the Bean or had a KS1, a KB Ear KS1, you'll recognize this nozzle. It's pretty much the same thing. It's probably the same exact DD driver in there. This is another feature on CCZ models, is this kind of black, soft rubber wing, which makes it a comfort wing or something like that. I'm not sure what they call it, but helps secure it in your ear. Feels okay. I don't have any problem with the wing, but yeah, it's kind of a nice little model. This one says BC1, so I think I said the Bean was DC1. This one is BC1, probably for the BA. I'm not sure where the BA is, kind of tucked in a corner there. Not sure we'll be able to see it, but so that's it. So this is not the stock cable. That is my cable. That's a few cores, maybe 3 cores of copper with 1 core of pure silver for those who are interested. And right angle 2-pin connectors. And so on this one, like I said, I didn't use the CCZ tips. I actually used foam tips, and we'll kind of get to that in a second as well. So that's kind of the rundown on what it looks like. I do want to thank the AK Audio Store on AliExpress for sending this sample to me. If you look on their store today, it's about $22.99, which is, I think, roughly similar to what the Bean costs, and Emerald, which is their other hybrid as well. So when we get into it, like I said, it's a 1DD, 1BA hybrid, and it graphs a lot like a Bean, and they threw in some BA timbre for those who are really into that. So we're going to kind of go through this quickly because you can kind of see it's very close to the Bean. Melody, somewhere over here is the crossover, and the BA lifts it up. It makes it a little brighter, but, it's almost dead on with the Bean. So that's kind of why I think that DD is probably the same one that's in the Bean, and they took the tuning from the Bean as well and just made a hybrid out of it. So if you have the Bean, you might want to hold off on the Melody. If you don't have either one of them, I would probably buy the Bean anyway because it's a very solid 1D. I kind of like it. Plus, I like the KS1, so pretty much guaranteed I was going to like the Coffee Bean as well. So graphs like a Bean, and it's got some, if you're familiar with budget BAs, it's got that, a little brightness to it, a little metallic, a little thinness to it. It sounds like a budget set with a budget BA, and it is how I will call that one. It does, like the Bean, it's got a fun V-shaped signature. This one just leans a lot brighter than, not a lot brighter, but with that BA timbre, it kind of feels a lot brighter and more kind of maybe a little thinner. Not my favorite. So, like I said, foam tips help this one. I highly suggest if you're a little treble sensitive, find some budget foam that you have in your kit. They will help on the Melody. So the bass, kind of just enough. A lot of it is that subtle this subtle area here that rises above where the bean is. It just feels a little brighter to me, even though on the graph it looks pretty similar. But when you listen to it, it feels a lot brighter than the KS1 to me. So that sort of dominates the sound. So the bass is kind of just enough to keep up with it, but it can definitely use a little bit more, and it gets behind that upper range. This one definitely feels a little more rumbly than slam. I think even the KS1, you'd kind of say the same thing. Not a super hard-hitting set, but it definitely has a lot of low-end extension to it. So with this higher upper end, you can't really hear it as much, but it's kind of there in the KS1. And if you take a song like Selena Gomez's Lose You to Love Me, kind of that beginning part where she's singing and there's just a kind of a lower piano without a higher range instrument going on at the same time, it actually goes pretty low and it sounds pretty good. Not crazy boomy or out of control. There's definitely enough control, some texture and detail. Like I said, almost positive it's the KS1 driver, and the KS1 driver is actually a solid DD, so no real complaints on the bass there. So the mids, they have this weird, almost an overemphasis, and maybe it's the BA, but it sounds like a center channel. Like there's a lot of focus on the vocals, and they don't necessarily. There's not a ton of coherence between the DD and the BA parts, so the vocals pop out a bit. Some people are going to like that. I will call it a little overemphasis, and there's a little BA timbre to it too, just to throw a little something unique in the mix like that. So extra details pop out as well, and that helps against the bass. If you remember the KS1, it's a bassy set, no doubt, and putting a little extra on the mids and the treble helps it stand against the bass. Not too much of a complaint there. Treble, this is one for people who like a little boost on their treble. That's what it sounds like. Those snares really pop out. Those upper range piano notes pop out. Cymbals pop out. And when I say pop out, it's a bit of an unnatural popping out of the mix. It's very noticeable. And on a track like Signal and Noise by Go Go Penguin, which is like a jazz trio, those instruments just happen to pop out of the mix more than they would on other sets. And even on the KS1 or the Bean, it's definitely more in the mix, even though that one has a little boosted upper as well. This one puts a little BA shine on it, so it's definitely more noticeable. So I will say it's not the most natural, but it has a very high energy feel to it, kind of a lot of fun. Definitely cuts through that lower, warmer end. But when you listen to the cymbals, again, it's a budget BA, so you can't expect miracles, and it sounds a bit on the thin side. And again, it's got this very fun over anything natural sound to it, which, it's kind of price appropriate, driver appropriate. What they did here, putting a low cost hybrid together, that's about what you're going to get at $20 on this particular set from this new company. So I think some of the more established guys like KZ have, reworked their very low end, the ZSN Pro and the Pro X. That's a sound that's been around for 3 or 4 years, and people love it or hate it. And I think this was CCZ's first try at it, so I'll kind of give them a pass for what they did here, but not too bad. So stage, primarily nice width. There's not any height. But that upper range does help imaging, so everything feels a little sharper. It pops out, like I said. That's not an issue with like an overall muddiness here at all, because that BA is sharpening everything. But you don't get a whole lot of depth because it's a bit in your face. But I'll call it price appropriate at $20. There's definitely better $20 sets, and I will say, if you're interested in either of the CCZ models, to either take a look at the Bean or take a look at Emerald, which I have not reviewed and I don't have, but I think that one is the better of the two brothers between Melody and Emerald. I think that Emerald was the one that sounds a little bit more natural, and Bean is being a single DD. It's a lot more coherent and a solid performer as well. So do take a look at the other members of the CCZ family, and again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time.